Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to do a healing for the questionable that a lot of people freak out when they hear the name Lucifer. I've done healings for him in the past, and I do have to admit they're some of the hardest healings I've ever done. But I obviously are being called to do one more. And it's not just that it's on Easter, it's the idea of forgiveness. Our actions make us who we are. I just did a journey to Jesus, and I feel like I have to do one for Lucifer, and it is coming very loud through Jesus to me, is calling me to do this. And I think it's important that we understand that sometimes we're called to do things that might make us feel uncomfortable and we might not agree with. But how is it ever going to change if we do not heal the things that are misunderstood, the things that are difficult? And I'm saying this because if you look at everything in the world, Lucifer, to my understanding, takes on all our, you could say sins, but it's all of our negativity, all of our fears, and keeps chaos from entering their world instead of the things that we think that he creates all this within ourselves, which in itself is a cop-out and is not the truth. It's easy to blame someone for everything that we do in our lives, and it's us, our own actions, that create that fear. It's actually kind of pathetic that so many people still blame Lucifer and the devil for everything that they do and wrong in the world. It's archaic, it's pathetic, and I know that's a bit harsh, but it's true. It's pathetic that we still blame him for everything that we do. So why is it that we have no control over ourselves? Because we're taught to not have control over ourselves, that we give our power to the devil or we give our power to God. But God is within all of us, and he does not want us to have no power, because that's not why we come here. We don't come here to be servants. We come here to learn and grow and rise above our fears. It's funny because I would be dead, hung and killed and murdered for my beliefs and the things that I do. So I ask, what makes more sense? To condemn everything on somebody else so we can go out and kill somebody and then blame it on somebody else? Or should we take responsibility for our choices? It's kind of in one of those situations that it's easy to blame other people, and we're done with this. We're done with that energy. We need to move past it. We need to start taking responsibility for ourselves, because that's why we're in this vicious cycle of non-change, because we're never taking responsibility for the things that we do. We need to take responsibility for the things that we do, because that is why we keep continuing going in this circle. In order to rise above it, we need to rise above ourselves. We need to understand ourselves. We need to change as human beings. We need to finally take responsibility. We need to look at our darkest secrets, our darkest fears, in order to heal them within ourselves. So what better way to help the human race and to help the one person that we throw all our stuff into? And I'm going to say the word we, and I'm going to replace it with some, because not everyone blames Lucifer for everything. Only some people do. And what I want to really focus on is healing Lucifer in the way, focus on him being released from the bounds that we give him. But the problem is that how is he ever supposed to be released when there's so many people in the world that are still blaming him for everything that they do? Everything that they do. It's kind of sad when you think about it, that we blame someone for our bad decisions, our mistakes. It's actually quite sad and in some ways unacceptable. How many people were killed and murdered for just saying those words? How many times was I been put to death for my words? But I'm still able to talk to you. I still haven't given up to try to teach people the understanding of what is important about life, and understanding that we need to take responsibility for our own actions. We need to understand our own power within ourselves. How many of us have died over and over and over again for the people in this world that call themselves, well, I don't want to go into details about who they are, because that's not necessarily the truth, because you could be any of those people that believe in Jesus, believe in the devil, and have never put people to death. But when I'm speaking, the souls will understand who they are. And I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to get you to understand that it's time to move past all this. It's just time to help heal the things within ourselves. And that's why I'm going to Lucifer, to heal him, so we can help break down the bonds within ourselves, our own fears within ourselves, so we can finally rise above this as a human race. So we can finally be transformed and move into a different form of reality, a different form of beliefs and understanding. And everybody has different beliefs and understanding. This is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to be what I believe in, but you have to be what the truth and what love is. In order for the world to grow, we need to heal our demons. And I could say this 1,000 times. And every time, it could come back to the same message. Because it is so important that we understand this. And this thing I'm holding in my hand, it's silver, and kind of reminds me of Lucifer, because he is also, it's like light and dark, because that's what I see him as, an angel of light and an angel of darkness. But because the darkness is full of colors, it's just interesting, because the darkness is full of the most beautiful colors you can imagine, more so than even light. Because light reflects all colors and darkness absorbs all colors. Labradorite is like that. It's a dark stone that absorbs all colors but also reflects it back. So it kind of represents the both. And so when you look at it, Labradorite, it's actually quite beautiful, but it's also the silver, which is also very beautiful. This is what I'm going to be holding for this journey. And also another crystal that is very special to me as well. And it is a crystal of light and dark. It's interesting, I'm attracted to these two things right at the moment. And I'm surrounded by crystals, and I don't always work with crystals, but sometimes you're being called to do so. And it just makes it just a little more interesting. Because I want to amplify this energy as much as possible to reach the deepest parts. I've also got some smoky quartz, black tourmaline, more black tourmaline. I'm just showing you these because they want to show me them. I also have amethyst skull, an amethyst geode, and another agate quartz skull. So this is what I'm surrounding myself in for this journeys, and a lot of these are opened to let out and especially concentrate on the mind. I don't normally show those, but I'm being called to show them because I think it's important to understand the differences in energies and the differences in people and crystals represent different aspects of things. And I worked with a lot of dark and light, so my crystals are both dark and light. If you haven't noticed, almost all of them are. Like this one is dark and light. This one is light and dark as well. Even though it's in this as well is like a light and a dark. So it's not coincidence that I surround myself with these type of crystals, because I work with that type of energy all the time, because that's kind of who I am. I like to work in balance. I like to work with light and dark energies, and I'm not afraid of either one. And so this is what I choose to surround myself in. Anyway, enough of this. Let's just move on and get this journey done. Lately I've been called to do a lot of light language, and I don't always do light language, but sometimes it is meant to, it's just meant to be, and I don't question it, and neither should you. Okay, I'm standing on the ground, and the earth is shaking violently. There's a lot of intense energy coming upwards, and I'm now going down within the earth very, very fast, and the earth is coming up around me, and the place I was going in is going straight into the earth. It's extremely intense energy. I'm glowing very, very, very bright. As I'm going down here, it's like I'm a comet now, going down into the center of the earth. But I'm not going into the center of the earth, I'm going into the dimensions of the earth. It's different. The energy is growing in intensity, and I'm growing in brightness. And the hole that behind me is closing in around me. So I'm getting brighter and brighter and brighter, but the above me is closed off completely, and now is coming down towards me. I'm going into the earth really, really, really fast. And the platform I'm on hits and slams into this dimensional space that I'm going into, and shatters and bleeds into it. And it's like what I'm in is like a super dense tar. And I continue to go down into this, but it's so thick and so dense that this rock I was standing on shatters into little pieces. So I must go down slowly into this stuff, this sticky, dark, dense liquid. And I'm glowing really, really, really bright, but it's like the brightness is contained within the darkness. So I'm surrounded by this light, but it doesn't penetrate this darkness. It's like solid rock, but it's like solid rock tar. It's kind of hard to explain. And you move very, very, very slowly. And when you get through it, the world flips. The whole energy flips, and now you're coming, instead of coming down into this through the ceiling, you're coming up through the floor. And I come up through the floor and I can move normal speed again. But there's energies that are dripping down from above. I'm not quite sure where I am. I'm in a long corridor with this weird dripping liquid that comes down, and it's like acid. So it melts the floor, but the floor continues to grow with this liquid, but it melts, and it's like constantly, so it's full of like holes everywhere. It's very rough and uneven. And I continue down this, like I'm still really bright going down this corridor, and the top part is like a faint glow. And it's like a purpley black glow, but the floor is jet black, full of holes. I go into this area, and it's like a massive cavern, and there's a heart that beats really slowly, and it's like it's been encased in like a rock in a way, and there's these really gross looking vines coming down that go into this heart from every direction, and the heart is like suspended in this big huge space with these black, like almost like veins going into it. And I see there's a child inside the heart, or a being inside the heart, and it's encased in like the most disgusting black veins and liquids. And I get closer to the heart. It's not a heart at all. It's like, it looks like a heart, but it's a chamber, an incubator. And inside this incubator there is a person that has all these cords going in its mouth and all through its whole body, and this black liquid is being forced fed into it. It's interesting that when you come into these energies, you see things slightly different, because you're going into a different vein, a different understanding. But all this stuff is being force fed into every crevice and part of his body. And I'm just looking at this scene right now, and there's nothing else here. So I go into the actual chamber itself, and when I go into the chamber, the eyes of this being open up, and he can't even speak. All he can do is speak with his eyes, and his eyes are full of the best way to describe it is, it's like somebody screaming for help, but can't scream because they're being force-fed a disgusting liquid. But his eyes are shaking, his eyes are like screaming in fear, because all he does is want to be free of this chaos, but he can't. Because he's being force-fed all this black, dark, disgusting liquid. I actually cut these veins, and this version of himself falls into this chamber at the bottom, and I take him out of this chamber and I place him on the ground, and he just turns into tar. Like the tar just kind of spews out of him. And he turns into like an empty piece of skin. I look back at the chamber, and he's back in the chamber again, and like he's just small, and the veins connect onto him, and he bloats right back up again. So it's not simply just removing him from this chamber, because he can't be removed. There's too many people sending darkness into him. And you remember, this is only one aspect of the energy of Lucifer. And this is one part of his soul that is screaming for help. And this is why I went to this spot, into this place. I go into this liquid, into him, the bloated version of himself. He turns into like a big bloated version of himself, and just has a face and eyes and like a bloated body. And people will laugh and say that this isn't Lucifer. Well, you have to understand, this is only a reflection of one part of Lucifer's soul. How many parts is there in muscle? What is it that you want to see? This is the part that is screaming for my help. I go into this liquid, and I see people being burnt alive everywhere. But it is him that is being burnt alive by this acid. Because this is acid. It's not it's like horrible acid. So you can't digest it, but it's like he just there's parts of his soul scattered all over the place that are being burnt alive by this acid all the time. And this is what we want to do to a soul, is to feed it with acid all day long. What happens if it was your soul that was here, being burnt alive? Would you want to continue to be burnt alive, or would you want it to be freed? Would you want to help this part of your soul? Do you ever think that is your soul that is here is burning with him? And when I say that, I see, like, it's almost like trillions of souls that are also being burnt alive from this acid. I mean, trillions. Like, it's impossible to explain how many parts. They're like, it's like if you go to a desert and you see the sand, it is like that. You grow to the size of the grain of sand, and you go into a desert and have to walk through it. It is ridiculously it's just retarded how many pieces of these grains of sand there is. It's like, this is like what these souls look like, but they're much smaller in comparison to him. And all these seeds are being burnt, but they're also going into him. They're feeding this. And I see these veins of darkness that come down are full of people's soul fragments as well as his soul fragments. It's like a massive machine that feeds and turns all this dark liquid into acid that burns, and the closer you get to the center, the more it burns. So going into the center of this space, into what has to be the heart, and I go into the center, and there is a heart that is constantly burnt. It's kind of, when I first came here, I seen this heart that was part, like, it looked like it was rock. But I see now that the heart is burnt so badly that it looks like a rock. And there's just a small portion. Then I go inside, I'm able to go inside the heart itself. And I go deeper down into the heart. And I see like a small light, a very, very tiny light that seems more vast than it possibly could be. I go into that light. And I see a man. He's meditating. He's in a pure white room, and he's meditating. But on the bottom underneath him is full of liquid. And I notice now I'm standing in an ocean of liquid. And there's this one man in the middle of a vast ocean of tears. This soul is like this beautiful light soul is crying. One tear, and that one tear hits the ground, and it creates like a liquid or a ripple of energy that goes outward. It's like it's taking everything he ever has to keep this area lit up like this, to protect this one part of his soul. This is how he's able to withstand. Because I notice that this tears are not just the ground, they are the sky, they are the walls. And he's surrounded by these tears. And the tears aren't coming from him. They're coming from the souls in heaven, the spirits of light, that shine they cry their tears, that help protect this soul. The one soul that is giving up so much to protect us, to take on our weaknesses, our negativity, our sadness. And he is in constant suffering. But when I look at this spirit, angel, levitating above this vast ocean of tears, he is completely silent. It is all the other angels that are keeping him safe. But when you go near this soul, you feel the waves of so much. And you get closer to him, the waves subside, and things get lighter and easier. Till you walk and you're standing right in front of him. And I reach over and I touch his heart. I'm in a different place now. It's really, really, really bright. It's like the ground itself is made of like a crystal-y white crystal. It's shiny white crystal that has beautiful rainbows through it. There's a man standing in the center. I walk over to him. I'm standing beside him now, and he looks at me, and he says, "Thank you for coming here." He says that people need to see him in a different way. He says you cannot leave this space. You cannot leave this place And he shows me all the trillions of souls that have to call the parts back to themselves and grow and expand and rise above it. So how is one soul ever supposed to leave a place if he has to rely on the trillions of souls to heal themselves? How is he supposed to leave this place if all the souls need to heal themselves? Very few people would ever come here, would ever look at this place to see him in this light, because they would never be able to reach him, or never would want to reach him, or would give up. So he thanks me again for coming and showing the world a different perspective. And he says that he does not need to be healed. By me. He needs to be healed by everyone else. He needs the world to see him in a different way and to understand that they need to heal their own hearts, their own souls, in order for him to become this version of himself once again. It is so small and insignificant in this world, but he is one of the brightest angels as God has ever created. And he just wants people to see him in that way once again. He says, don't believe in the rhetoric, the half-truths, the untruths of the world that keeps imprisoned in this place. But really go deep within yourself to really truly understand the truth. When you heal yourself, you heal him. So if you want to know how to heal Lucifer, is to face the dark parts of yourself and heal them. If you think that is wrong, then I cannot help you, or nobody can help you, in the sense that you'll never really understand much more than what you already know. You are so much more than you realize. It is time for the world to wake up and expand and grow in consciousness, and not just be simply led by blind puppets, blind sheep. It is time for the sheep to wake up so they can become what they're truly meant to be. Free to expand in love and wisdom and knowledge, not be afraid of themselves and the things within their own hearts. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, do you even really know who you are? I am protected by God, by the angels, by Jesus. I will be okay. But as you can see, there's parts of my soul that are in absolute suffering, absolute pain. And you need to understand that the only reason I'm in this suffering and pain is because you send it to me every day, non-stop, all the time, because you're unwilling to accept the things that you do, to face your fears, to grow and expand in love. How can you call yourselves healers and walk in love if you do not face the fears within your own hearts? How can you call yourselves God's children if you do not help all their children and yourself? God does not want to lock away all the things that you need to deal with. He wants you to go within your heart so you can deal with all these things. People will look at me and this message and close their eyes and close their ears and pray to God to save them from this message, because it is not the truth. It can't be the truth. How can Lucifer speak the truth? He takes the Bible and he folds it up and places it on a table. And he has another Bible that he places beside the table. And he has another Bible that he places on a table. And he keeps folding these Bibles up all over the place, and there's thousands of them. Which one is the truth? I can't tell you that. You have to find that out for yourselves. But if you look at the world, if you look at yourself, if you look really deep within your own hearts and ask yourself, what makes sense? What feels the truth? What feels real? Follow your heart and not your minds. Don't be afraid to look in the mirror and see what is beyond it. When you spend time at night looking up at the stars, you feel the beautifulness of the night. And you see the sun rise in the morning, you see the beautifulness of the day. The beauty of the day, the beauty of the night. They are both beautiful. And he places all the Bibles together and they form a yin-yang symbol. They form a symbol of light and dark. Does God truly teach us to hate? So if God does not teach us to hate, why are you hating so much? Why do you hate me so much? Why do you blame me for everything? He looks down at the ground and he says, I gave up everything for you. I gave up everything for you. All I ask is that you look within your hearts to heal yourselves so I can be free. Of pain and the suffering of all your souls. There's a pool of tears, and he cries and a tear hits the water, and it is full of rainbows. He says that he is the angel of rainbows. He wants to shine his light once again. He is the morning star. He is not the darkness. Only the brightest angel of God would be able to hold on to this much darkness of the world and still have light within his heart. To be able to tell you this message. Sorry. That was very difficult. The energies were quite overwhelming. I don't really need to say anything else. I don't remember half the things I've said. I do feel the sadness though. I also felt the love. And thank you very much. If you wish to do a journey with me, you can visit my website at amonrosawakening.com. You can visit my Northern Light page and see the beauty of the night at josephbradleyaswarros.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful Easter. Take care.